Hey, it's a video I thought about making for a little bit. Show some music that isn't often showed or discussed. And um, as a part of my motivation was having watched Johan's video a couple weeks ago, showing some noise releases. There's a couple things that I had in mind that I wanted to show. I don't know if I pulled everything, but I didn't get to re-listen to it all, but just things that came to mind. I guess it's either noise or noise adjacent things, whether you want to consider it experimental or abstract or even music concrete or um, industrial. This first one was brought to my attention a little over a year ago. Electro Static Cat and Dysteleology, philosophical title. This was on a label that was based out of Toronto called Freedom in a Vacuum. I wouldn't say this is noise in a general sense. It's far more varied. Maybe more, definitely, experimental is a very generic term. Music concrete, for sure. I don't know if you can hear it. I've been playing in the background. This is actually good. A good change of pace from what I was just listening to. It's a record I'll show in a little bit. Noise with me is, it's all about patience. Do I have the patience? It's like a litmus test. Well, how am I feeling? Am I relaxed? What am I willing to take in? What sounds do I want to hear? Do I want to have, rolling around in my brain? It was funny when I wanted to make this video, and then tonight I pulled some of these records and I was listening to it. And I don't know if I'm too tired or what, but some of it is like, man, this is not what I even want to hear right now. But it's a worthy exploration to sort through some music during the time or at a time when you don't even want to listen to it. But I'm enjoying this. I was in Toronto over a week ago, and I kept asking in the record stores that I went to about this label Freedom in a Vacuum, and nobody had heard of it. So either like a generation has passed on, or this label really flew under the radar. But this is a cheap record, and it's pretty good. Like I said, abstract samples, music concrete. If any of that is of appeal to you, I would definitely check this out. Electro Static Cat. They also had another name that's escaping me right now. If I think of it, I'll mention it. I have a CD by them. This was the record that I found myself not having much patience for tonight. Factor X, Directions. I think this originally was a cassette release. So this is an Electrostatic Cat. It sort of goes into like this nice ambient territory. I guess this is more suits my mood for tonight. Anyway, so Factor X, I think this guy Sean Robert, he was an Englishman. He's still making music as far as I know. I guess a lot of with the noise stuff is it was cassette released, and that culture was very strong and very prevalent. And even nowadays, most people that are into noise, I think, might be making cassettes or collecting cassettes. I don't have a cassette player, so tapes aren't anything that I'm seeking. I mean, if I came across any, I might pick them up and then sort out how I'm going to play it after. But this I have enjoyed before. This is more sampling, more like gargling the microphone in his mouth, like more collage, cut and paste type of stuff. I had listened to this a few months back and really enjoyed it. Tonight was just not a night where it was working for me. Maybe I'll try again tomorrow. This is another Canadian group, Kaiser Nietzsche, Heterology. I mean, I might have known what that meant at one point. Again, I think it was on the subsidiary of Freedom in a Vacuum, that label I mentioned about that Electro Static Cat was on, based out of Toronto. This, I think, is more power, electronics, industrial. You know, I don't know enough about all the genres to be able to like eloquently discuss, you know, how to tell them apart. Maybe more hard charging with the electronics on this album, as opposed to like the atmosphere that you can hear in the Electro Static Cat right now. This is good too. And again, you know, I feel like a lot of noise bands, you got a lot of like juvenile titles about genitalia, or, you know, some grotesque pictures, or you have some sort of interest in esoteric name based off some philosophy, or, you know, I think there's some albums that are like influenced by, you know, landscapes and ecology. Very interesting. I mean, I don't know what could be playing into that. I might have to put more thought into it before I can speak about it and more clearly. This is a major noise album. Mortal Vision, Knock Music. It's a cool textured cover. I believe this was cassette only too. I don't know if I have the year off the top of my head. Oh, 1992. Originally released by Gross, Japanese label, run by the guy that performed under the name Ob. This is a little harsher. I haven't listened to this in a while. I don't know what it would do for me tonight based on my experience with Factor X, but I might put it on after and see. This is well known. This is Japanese noise. I think the rest of the records might be Japanese noise. Mortal Vision, Knock Music. I didn't mind it. I know this. I found it not to be up to whatever reputation it has, but I mean, that could just be my, you know, where I currently stand with noise in general, and, you know, not any, not one to like speak on the genre with any authority. So I mentioned that the guy that ran Gross, he passed away a few years ago, performed under the name Ob. This is Spindrift, 1991. This might be the first ever vinyl release. Yeah, I'm not gonna read that print right now. I do like Ob. He was interesting. He worked with a lot of, well, he worked with water and processing and manipulating the sounds of water. This is another one. I do prefer Ob to Mortal Vision. But again, these are things that I go back to often. But I'm still very curious about. I think I had mentioned previously that I sort of use this music as a litmus test to see where I am. Not too different from maybe like those that listen to free jazz. Speaking of free jazz, this is almost like a free jazz noise album, a Japanese group called Dislocation. This album's called Coyote's Call. This is another 90s release. Recorded in 91 and 95. I do like these guys. I have a CD by them. This is my first album that I had by them. Saxophonist, electronics, and a guitarist. Actually, I have 2 CDs that were these compilations on Artware. Sorry. Oh, whatever. They're on Artware. This one's called Dedication. I don't think this one has a title. I find that compilations are pretty great for exposing yourself to, different types of noise, experimental, industrial. Sort of see where you're at with these kinds of groups. I guess 2 more I'll show at the same time. Very well known. Cosmic Coincidence Control Center. This first one was, I think, just a 7-inch release. It's kind of pricey now. They put out a reissue a couple years ago. I don't know the exact date, but the first 7-inch came out in 93. So again, like a lot of these Japanese noise group releases that I have were from the early to mid 90s. I think the original 7-inch might have been on clear vinyl as well. I think the reissue came out on clear. I do enjoy this group. Not one that it's been a few months since I've listened to this one in particular. Test Tube Fantasy. But what is unique about this is like the synthesizer that comes through at times. I think this is like what makes this band stand out over some of the others. Just the different instrumentation and how they're using it to create the noise. Turn that off. And then the other one was a reissue from last year. CCCC came with the 7-inch. Again, as I just mentioned, I think the use of the synthesizer does add just a little variety into like the noise music that they are making. This album in particular is one that I sort of use to judge, okay, what sort of patience do I have for I guess more harsh exploratory music. Not a late night before bed listen, although I've done that at times and it's worked fine, but it's not what I turn to. I don't know if many people do. But I did pull some other albums that I sort of wanted to balance out with the noise that I wanted to listen to tonight, if I even get to it. I got this Solomon Gamil album, Egyptian music, on Touch Records. I know people know who he is for the most part. I think this was one of the first vinyl releases on Touch in 1987, or first or second, I believe. They were mainly cassettes up to that point. Ahmad Abdul Malik's Jazz Sahara. This Middle Eastern music from 1958. Still blows my mind, 1958. The cover smells like 1958, but the music doesn't sound like 1958. This is unbelievable. You know, I know many people talk about music from the East, or music, ethnographic music, worldly instrumentation. I mean, I want to know how many albums in 1958 were doing what this one was doing. I mean, way ahead of its time, and sort of like melding different forms into jazz. Pulled off this Biata album, Rackabones. I think it was on Recommended Records, right? This is an incredible cover. I mean, let's take a look at some of the artwork. It's one I haven't visited in a while. I still have, I think they're maybe more known for that album Tinkt. But I forget where these guys are from. Colorado, maybe? I don't know, I found some groups from the 80s, maybe even to the early 90s, from different parts of the states that I had no idea about, that would even make the music that they're making based on location. So this one was very surprising. I'm looking forward to playing this. It's a double LP. I think it's got like an incredible insert and everything. I mean, this is a hell of a package. Still in great shape. Not sure the year. By the way, couple others. It's Latvian artist Ingas Baskenieks. Sort of some experimental tunes mixed in with some more poppier tunes. This is like a, I mean, every couple weeks I want to listen to this. It's very interesting. The covers, I don't know what's going on there. I like the little hype sticker, deeply private, completely alien. Might be the only artist from Latvia that I own music of. And finally, I haven't listened to this in a bit. It just came out a few months ago. Middle East. Lloyd Miller. Many of you probably know Lloyd Miller. This might be the first thing I spin before I even try to get back in any of the noise stuff I just showed. There's another one that I have, similar, still got the yellow cover, I forget, Far East maybe, something like that. That one's good as well. But this one's definitely worth picking up. I know he was a scholar. I mean, he knew countless instruments from around the world. I know he settled in this area. He might have lived in, was it Iran or Iraq for a bit? Became very fluent in the instruments of that culture. All right. Well, I'm going to test my patience with some noise music. I'll see you guys.